The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council gleamed with silver walls and floating holographic displays. 73 species from across the galaxy met here to make decisions. Today, they were laughing. Admiral Zexter held up a small data pad and waved it in the air. His scales rippled with amusement. Another message from the humans, he announced to the council members. Listen to this. We kindly request that you cease hostile actions against our vessels. We believe this conflict can be resolved through peaceful dialogue. The chamber filled with clicking sounds and chirps. Different species had different ways of laughing, but they were all laughing. Commander Vril, a tall being with 4 arms, shook her head. This is the 12th attack. 12. And still they say kindly request and please consider. Do they even have warriors? Clearly not, Zexter replied. He tossed the data pad aside like garbage. In 3 months, we have destroyed 12 of their colony ships. Each time they send these soft words. They talk about mutual understanding and diplomatic solutions. They are weak. Chancellor Morden leaned forward in his seat. He was old, even for his long-lived species. Perhaps they are simply more civilized than we assumed. Some species prefer peace. Peace. Zexter laughed harder. No, Chancellor. There is a difference between choosing peace and being too weak to fight. The humans are weak. Their ships have minimal weapons. Their colonies have no defense systems we can detect. They write letters instead of fighting back. The council members nodded in agreement. It made sense to them. Strong species fought back. Weak species wrote polite messages and hoped for mercy. What should we do next? A council member asked. Zexter pulled up a star map. A small mining station appeared, highlighted in blue. Humans have a mining operation here. Rich in minerals we need. I say we take it. They will probably send another polite letter asking us to stop. The council voted. It was almost unanimous. Only Ambassador Krell, the oldest member present, did not raise his hand. You object, Ambassador? Morden asked. Krell sat quietly for a moment. He was ancient, with gray skin and tired eyes. I think we should study the humans more carefully. Before we attack again, study them. Vril laughed. We have been studying them for 3 months. By attacking them, they respond with words, not weapons. What more do we need to know? Their history, Krell said softly. I have been reading their history files. There is something strange about history. Zexler interrupted. We do not need history lessons, old one. We need resources. The mining station will be ours by tomorrow. The council agreed. The session ended. Members left the chamber, all ready. Planning how to use the minerals they would steal, only Ambassador Krell remained in his seat. His hands trembled slightly as he pulled up Earth's historical database on his personal screen. He had been reading it for days now. Something about the humans bothered him. Something did not make sense. They were so polite, so diplomatic, so careful with their words. But their history, ... Krell scrolled through the files. War after war, conflict after conflict. Weapons that should not exist. Destruction on a scale that made him feel sick. Why do they not fight back? He whispered to himself. Hours later, the attack fleet departed for the human mining station. 20 warships against 1 small station. It would be over quickly. But that night, a new message arrived from Earth, not to the Council officially. Directly to Admiral Zexthor's personal communication channel. The message was short. Only 1 sentence. Stop attacking, or we stop pretending. To be courteous, Zexthor read it 3 times. Pretending? What did that mean? Were the humans pretending to be diplomatic? Why would anyone pretend to be weak? He felt something he had not felt in years. A small, cold feeling in his stomach. Doubt he sent the message to the full council. Within minutes, his personal device lit up with calls. Everyone wanted to know what it meant. Ambassador Krell called last. His voice was quiet, almost resigned. "I tried to warn you," Krell said. "I tried to tell you to study their history. Now it may be too late." Too late. For what? Zexter demanded. "They are bluffing. They must be." "I hope you are right," Krell replied. "Because if they are not bluffing, they really have been pretending." He did not finish the sentence. He did not need to. The attack fleet was already at the mining station. There was no turning back now. Ambassador Krell did not sleep that night. He sat alone in his quarters, surrounded by holographic screens. Each screen showed a different piece of Earth's history, and each piece made his blood run colder. Most council members never read the full files about new species. They looked at the summary: technology level, population size, military strength. The summary for humans said low military presence. That was enough for them. But Krell had gone deeper, much deeper. The first thing he noticed was strange. Earth had something called history channels, entire broadcasting networks dedicated to their wars. Humans studied war like other species studied art. They had museums filled with weapons, ancient swords, armored vehicles, bombs, flying machines designed only to drop fire on cities. And people visited these museums with their children. Krell watched video after video. His hands shook as he took notes. World War I, he read aloud. To himself, duration: 4 years. Deaths, 17 million. Weapons used: poisonous gas, machine guns, artillery. Note, this was considered less deadly than their Second World War. He opened another file. World War II. Duration: 6 years. Deaths: 60 million. First use of atomic weapons. Note, humans created weapons that could destroy entire cities in seconds. Then they used them on themselves. But that was not the worst part. The worst part was what came after. Krell pulled up post-war documents. The Geneva Conventions. International laws about warfare. Rules about how to treat prisoners. Bans on certain weapons. They made rules for war, Krell whispered. Not to prevent war, to make war less horrible. He found a human quote from someone named Einstein. "I know not with what weapons World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones." The meaning was clear. Humans knew they could destroy themselves completely, and they came very close to doing it. Krell pulled up Cold War files. 2 human nations had pointed thousands of nuclear weapons at each other, enough weapons to destroy Earth dozens of times over. They stood at the edge of total destruction for 40 years, but they did not fire. Why? Krell asked the empty room. Why did they not destroy each other? He found his answer in another file. Something called mutually assured destruction. The humans had a saying: if I kill you, you kill me, so neither of us kills anyone. It was insane. It was brilliant. It was terrifying. Krell went further back in history. The Mongol conquests, the Roman Empire, the Crusades, the 100 Years' War. Wars that lasted longer than some species had spaceflight. Every century, humans fought. Every generation, new war. They invented new weapons constantly. Better ways to kill each other. More efficient methods of destruction. Then Krell found the recent files. The last 200 years. Something had changed. Humans started talking more, fighting less. They created the United Nations, the International Criminal Court, peace treaties that actually lasted. They learned, Krell realized. After thousands of years, they finally learned. But learning. To prefer peace was not the same as forgetting how to fight. Krell opened the human military files he could access. What he saw made no sense at first. Their civilian ships had reinforced hulls, much stronger than needed for normal space travel. Their communication satellites had suspicious power signatures, too much power for just communications. Their mining colonies had defensive positions built into the architecture. Cleverly hidden, but there. They have been ready for war this whole time, Krell said. They just chose not to show it. He pulled up the message again. Stop attacking. Or we stop pretending to be courteous. It made horrible sense. Humans had learned to be diplomatic, to be polite, to seek peace first. But underneath that courtesy was something else, something old, something that had won thousands of wars across thousands of years. Krell opened a final file. It was a human military document, partially redacted, but he could read enough. Doctrine. Overwhelming response. If peaceful methods fail, respond with sufficient force to ensure no second attack occurs. Goal. Win so completely that future conflicts become unthinkable. There was a quote at the bottom. It's from a human named Mattis. Be polite, be professional, but have a plan to kill everybody you meet. Krell's comm device buzzed. The attack fleet had reached the mining station. The assault was beginning. He tried to call them, to warn them, to tell them to stop, but he was too late. The first shot had already been fired. And Krell knew, with absolute certainty, that the galaxy was about to learn a lesson that humans had spent 200 years trying not to teach. The attack fleet commander, Captain Thrall, felt confident as his 20 warships surrounded the human mining station. It was a small facility, just a floating platform with drilling equipment and storage modules. He could see tiny figures moving behind the windows. Workers, scientists, easy targets. This will be over in minutes, Thrall announced to his crew. Prepare weapons, target their power core. His weapons officer nodded and began the targeting sequence. This was routine now. The 12th attack on human assets. 12 victories. 12 times the humans did nothing but complain. Then his communication officer spoke up, voice uncertain. Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the station. Let me guess, Thrall said with amusement. They want to negotiate. They are asking us politely to leave. No, sir. The message is ... different. The transmission played on the main screen. A human woman appeared. She wore a simple work uniform with a name tag that said Dr. Sarah Mitchell. Station director, she looked tired, not afraid. You have attacked our ships 12 times, Dr. Mitchell said calmly. You ignored our diplomatic requests. You laughed at our courtesy. You killed our people. Now you come for our workers. She paused, and something changed in her eyes. Something cold. Very well. Courtesy protocol is disabled. Command has been notified. Defend yourselves. The transmission ended. Captain Thrall blinked. Defend themselves. With what? I see no weapons. On that station, sir, his sensor officer called out. The station is moving. On the screen, the mining platform began to shift, but not slowly like a station adjusting position. Fast, impossibly fast for something that size. In 3 seconds, it accelerated and jumped away, vanishing into faster-than-light travel. That is not possible, Thrall shouted. Mining stations do not have jump drives that powerful? Sir, new contacts appearing on sensors. Thrall looked at his tactical display. 1 ship appeared, then 5, then 20, then 50, then more. They kept coming, materializing from nowhere like ghosts. These were not the rounded, peaceful colony ships the Council had been destroying. These vessels were angular, dark, covered in armor plating. They looked like what they were, warships, real warships. Where did they come from? Thralls first. Officer whispered. A new transmission came through. A man's voice, calm and professional. This is Captain James Rodriguez of the UED's Tenacity. You are surrounded. Power down your weapons and withdraw immediately. This is your only warning. Thrall stared at the screen. UED, United Earth Defense Service. Defense. The humans had a military this whole time. How many ships do they have? Thrall asked his sensor officer. I count. 147, sir. No, wait. More are arriving. 160. 180. The human ships moved into formation. Perfect coordination. Every vessel in exact position. This was not a hastily assembled fleet. This was trained, practiced, professional. Thrall felt sweat forming on his skin. Open a channel to Admiral Zexter. Tell him, sir, they are jamming. All our long-range communications. We can only reach each other and the human fleet. Captain Rodriguez spoke again. Captain Thrall of the Council Fleet. We know your name. We know your ship. We have been tracking you since your first attack 3 months ago. We know everything about you. Thrall's blood went cold. They had been watching. All this time. You wonder why we did not fight back before? Rodriguez continued. We were giving you chances. 12 chances to choose peace. 12 opportunities to stop, to think, to realize that courtesy was not weakness. The human ships moved closer, tightening the formation. Thrall noticed something. On his tactical display, the human ships were not just surrounding them, they were positioned in a specific pattern. Each council ship had exactly 3 human vessels targeting it. You assumed our silence meant inability, Rodriguez said. You thought our diplomacy was fear. You believed our patience was cowardice. These were incorrect assumptions. Thrall made a decision. Pride and fear mixed in his mind. All ships target the human vessels. Fire everything. 20 council warships opened fire at once. Energy beams, missiles, plasma charges, everything they had. Space lit up like a sun as the full might of the council's attack force unleashed destruction. The weapons hit the human shields and stopped. The human ships glowed bright blue for a moment as their shields absorbed the impact. Then the glow faded. Not a single vessel was damaged. Not even scratched. Silence filled Thrall's bridge. His crew stared at their screens in disbelief. Impossible, someone whispered. Captain Rodriguez's voice came through again. His tone had not changed. Still calm, still professional. Somehow, that made it worse. Our turn. Captain Thrall watched his tactical screen with growing horror. The human ships had not moved after absorbing the full assault. They simply floated in space, waiting, like predators that had caught their prey and were deciding what to do with it. Reload all weapons. Thrall shouted. Fire again. His weapons officer looked up, face pale. Sir, we fired everything. Weapons need 3 minutes to recharge. 3 minutes. It felt like an eternity. Captain Rodriguez's voice came through the speakers again. You fired first. Under galactic law, we are now justified in responding with equal force, but we will not. Thrall felt a strange mixture of relief and confusion. They would not fire. After all that display of power. Instead, Rodriguez continued, we will show you the difference between human military capability and human military choice. The human ships moved, not all at once, one at a time, surgical, precise. The first human vessel approached Thrall's nearest escort ship. A single beam of blue light shot out. It was not a large beam, not a massive blast, just a thin, focused line. Of energy, the escort ship's engines went dark. Just the engines, nothing else. Report. Thrall demanded his communication officer listen to the panicked transmissions. The escort ship's engines are completely disabled, but life support is fine. Crew quarters untouched. They are ... They are fine. Just cannot move. Another human. Ship fired. Another escort lost its engines. Then another. And another. It was systematic. Clinical. Each shot hit exactly what it was meant to hit. No wasted energy. No collateral damage. They are not trying to kill us, Thrall's first officer said quietly. They are choosing not to. Within 90 seconds, 15 of Thrall's 20 ships were floating dead in space. Crews alive, systems intact, but completely helpless. Then the human ships stopped firing. 5 Council vessels remained operational, including Thrall's flagship. Why did they stop? The weapons officer asked. The answer came from Captain Rodriguez. Because 5 ships are enough to take a message back to your council. 5 witnesses. To tell what happened here, the other 15 will be towed to neutral space and released. Unharmed, Thrall's pride broke. What are you? We are what you forced us to show you, Rodriguez replied. We are humans who wanted to explore the galaxy. In peace. Who hoped to find friends among the stars. Who tried diplomacy first, second, and third. A new ship appeared on the sensors. Thrall's tactical officer made a sound of disbelief. Sir, that ship, ... the size, ... The vessel that jumped into the area was enormous. It dwarfed everything else. In space, Thrall's flagship was large for a warship, nearly 1 kilometer long. This human ship was 12 kilometers from bow to stern. Its hull was dark gray, almost black. Weapon ports covered every surface. Gun batteries that could probably destroy planets. Missile bays that could launch thousands of warheads. Captain Rodriguez said, "Is the UED's Indomitable? A Titan-class dreadnought. We have 15 of these vessels in active service." Thrall could not speak. His crew sat frozen at their stations. This single ship could destroy their entire fleet in seconds. A new voice came through the communication channel. Older, deeper, tired. I am Admiral Marcus Webb, commanding officer of the Indomitable. Captain Thrall, do you know what we use this ship for most of the time? Thrall managed to shake his head, though Webb could not see him. Asteroid deflection, Webb said. Last year, we pushed a massive asteroid away from a colony world. Saved 3 million lives. The year before, we used it to tow a damaged station to safety. Rescued 8,000 people from 15 different species. The massive ship moved. Closer, Thrall could see details now. Repair bays, medical facilities, even what looked like gardens behind reinforced windows. We built weapons of war, Webb continued, and we used them for peace. Because we learned something over thousands of years of killing each other. War is easy. Any fool can start a fight. But peace requires strength. Real strength. Admiral Webb paused, letting his words sink in. We sent diplomats to your council because we wanted to give you the respect we wish our ancestors had given each other. We wrote polite letters because we hoped words would be enough. We absorbed your attacks because we wanted you to have every chance to choose differently. The communication screen changed. Now Thrall could see Admiral Webb. He was an older human, with gray hair and tired eyes. Eyes that had seen too much. You have one day, Webb said. Return to council space. Tell them what you saw here. Tell them Earth wants peace, but Earth will accept war if forced. The choice, as it has always been, is yours. The Galactic Council chamber had never been this full. Every delegate from all 73 member species had arrived within hours. Some came in person. Others appeared as holograms, too far away to travel quickly. But everyone came. They had to. The news was too shocking to ignore. Chancellor Morden stood at the center podium. His skin color shifted to deep purple. For his species, that meant extreme stress. The council will come to order. We have a crisis. The massive screens around the chamber showed footage from Captain Thrall's disabled ships, the human fleet, the dreadnought. Weapons firing with perfect precision. Ships disabled, but not destroyed. This cannot be real, Representative Salon said, standing up. She was young for a council member, barely 200 years old. Humans are peaceful. We have monitored them for years. Small ships, minimal weapons. They trade, they explore. They do not fight. Ambassador Krell stood slowly. He looked like he had aged 10 years in 3 days. They do not fight because they choose not to fight. There is a difference. Explain, Chancellor Morden demanded. Krell touched his control pad. The screens changed. Human history began playing. Wars, weapons, destruction, century after century of conflict. But Krell did not show it the way he had studied it. He showed it differently. He showed the pattern. Watch carefully, Krell said. Here, humans invent gunpowder. Within 50 years, they develop cannons, guns, and bombs. Here, they invent flying machines. Within 20 years, they create flying weapons. Here, they split the atom. Within 5 years, they build atomic bombs. The pattern was clear. Every technology became a weapon, fast. They are good at war because they practiced constantly, Krell continued. But look what happens next. The timeline showed the last 200 years. Wars became less frequent, smaller, more controlled. They developed something new, Krell explained. Not better weapons. Better alternatives to weapons. Diplomacy, international law. Economic interdependence. They built a system where war became too expensive, too destructive, too unprofitable. A delegate from the Vraxian system spoke up. So, they became soft. They forgot how to fight. No, Krell's voice was sharp. T, remembered too well. T's the point. They know exactly what war costs. They count every body. They remember every city destroyed. They teach it to their children. They built museums to remember their mistakes. He pulled up new images, human war memorials. Walls covered with names of the dead, monuments to battles that killed millions. They did not forget war, Krell said quietly. They chose to prevent it by being so prepared for war that no one dares start one. The chamber fell silent. Delegates looked at each other, understanding dawning. They were testing us, Chancellor, Morden said slowly. The polite messages, the diplomatic requests. They were seeing if we were wise enough to choose peace. Yes, Krell agreed. And we failed the test. Representative Sillon stood again. So we apologize. We pay compensation for the ships we destroyed. We offer trade agreements. We move forward. It is not that simple. Another voice called out. Ambassador Fendrak from the Krillian Empire. He was a warrior, decorated in battle. We showed them we only understand strength. Now they know diplomacy will not work with us. The horrible truth of that statement settled over the chamber. We wanted them to be peaceful traders, Krell said. Easy neighbors, weak enough to ignore or push around. Instead, we forced them to reveal what they really are. Warriors who chose to be diplomats. Now they know they must be warriors first with us. Chancellor Morden sat down heavily. What do? We prove we can learn, Krell replied. We show them that their 12 warnings were not wasted. That we understand now, and if we cannot, Scylla asked, her voice small. If we attack again. Krell pulled up the image of the human dreadnought. The massive ship filled every screen in the chamber. Then we will learn what happens when humans stop choosing peace, Krell said. We will see what they were like for most of their history. We will face the species that fought itself for 10,000 years and survived. The species that built weapons capable of destroying their own planet and somehow did not use them. He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of as many delegates as he could. We will face a humanity that is not pretending anymore, and I do not think the galaxy is ready for that. A message notification appeared on the main screen. 'Twas from Earth. Every delegate held their breath. The message was simple. An invitation. The United Earth Government invites Galactic Council delegates to diplomatic talks. Location, Geneva, Earth. Time, as soon as possible. Purpose, establishing permanent peace protocols. At the bottom, one line stood out. Come to talk peace. We pray you choose wisely. Chancellor Morden looked at Krell. They are giving us another chance. Yes, Krell said. The question is, do we deserve it? The Council's diplomatic ship descended through Earth's atmosphere 3 days later. Inside, 50 delegates sat in uncomfortable silence. They were the ones who had voted for the attacks. Now they would face the consequences. Representative Salon looked out the window as clouds parted below them. She expected to see weapons, military bases, soldiers everywhere. Instead, she saw cities, parks, rivers, ordinary life. Where are their defenses? She whispered to Ambassador Krell. Everywhere, Krell replied, pointing at a communications tower. And nowhere? That tower probably has weapons hidden inside. Those satellites above us are definitely armed. But you would never know by looking. The ship landed in a city called Geneva. The delegates stepped out onto solid ground, many of them visiting a planet's surface for the first time. Earth's gravity felt heavy. The air smelled strange, organic, alive. A single human waited for them, not a soldier, just a woman in a dark blue suit. She was older, with gray streaks in her black hair and smile lines around her eyes. Welcome to Earth, she said, her voice warm. I am Secretary General Maria Santos. Please, follow me. No guards, no weapons visible. Just one unarmed woman greeting potential enemies. Chancellor Morden stepped forward cautiously. You are not afraid of us, Santos smiled. Should I be? You came here to talk peace. Violence in a place of diplomacy would dishonor you, and I believe you are better than that. The simple trust in her words made several delegates uncomfortable. They had expected anger, threats, military displays, not kindness. Santos led them through the city on foot. No vehicles. No rush. Just a walk through Geneva's streets. Children played in a park nearby. A group of elderly humans sat on benches. Feeding birds, street musicians played instruments. Normal people living normal lives. Do they not know we attacked you? Commander Vriel asked, confused. Course they know, Santos replied. Every human knows. We mourned the 372 people you killed. We held memorials. We spoke their names. But we do not teach our children to hate you. She stopped walking and turned to face the delegates. We teach them that you made a mistake, that you did not understand us. That violence comes from fear and ignorance, not from evil. And that we must give you the chance to learn, as we once learned. They continued walking. The delegates noticed something strange. Occasionally, humans on the street would look at them. The humans clearly knew who they were. The aliens who had killed their people. But instead of anger, the humans just nodded. Some even smiled sadly. Why do they not hate us? Salon asked quietly. Because hate is easy, Santos said. Hate is what our ancestors did for thousands of years. It nearly destroyed us. We chose something harder. Forgiveness, understanding, hope. They reached a building made of old stone and modern glass combined. Beautiful in its simplicity. A sign read, United Earth Diplomatic Center. Inside, The walls were covered with images, but not images of war. Images of humans helping other species. Medical missions, disaster relief, scientific cooperation, building. Projects on alien worlds. This is what we want to be, Santos explained. This is who we choose to be. Partners, friends, builders. They entered a conference room overlooking the city. Through the windows, delegates could see the Alps in the distance. Snow-covered peaks touched the sky, beautiful and peaceful. But, Santos continued, her voice changing slightly, we also remember history. She touched a control panel. It's a beautiful mountain view disappeared. The windows became screens showing Earth's wars. The trenches of World War I, the atomic clouds of World War II, the cold standoff of nuclear powers, destruction, death, horror. We did this to ourselves, Santos said quietly. Our own species. We killed millions of our own people. We developed weapons that could end all life on Earth. We came so close to extinction that we could see it from where we stood. She turned to face the delegates directly, and then we stopped. Not because we could not fight anymore, but because we chose not to. We looked at what we had become and decided to be better. The images changed again. Peace treaties. The United Nations being formed. International courts. Humans from different nations working together. It took us 200 years to build this peace, Santos continued. 200 years of choosing cooperation over conflict, of choosing conversation over violence. Every single day we make that choice. It is not easy, but it is necessary. Chancellor Morden spoke, his voice heavy with emotion. Why do you tell us this? Santos looked at each delegate in turn. Because I want you to understand something important. When we sent you polite messages after your attacks, it was not weakness, it was hope. Hope that you could choose what we chose, that you could be better without having to suffer what we suffered. She paused, letting her words sink in. You did not have to lose millions of people to learn that war is wrong. You did not have to stand at the edge of extinction to choose peace. We were trying to give you a shortcut past our mistakes. 9 months had passed since the Geneva talks. The Galactic Council chamber looked the same, but everything felt different. The air itself seemed changed, more careful, more thoughtful. Ambassador James Chen stood at the New Earth delegation podium. He was young for such an important position, barely 40 years old. But he had kind eyes and a patient voice that made others want to listen. Today's session was about a territorial dispute. The Vraxian Empire and the Corlith Collective both claimed ownership of a mineral-rich asteroid field. Both sides had historical documents. Both sides had valid arguments. Both sides were preparing their warships. In the old days, the council would have voted. Winners and losers. Someone would leave angry. Ships would fire eventually. But today was different. Both of you are correct, Chen said simply. Your ancestors did discover that region. Both claims are legitimate. The Vraxian delegate bristled. Then how do we resolve this? Someone must own it. Chen smiled. Why? The question confused them. Because that is how it works. Territory belongs to someone. What if it belongs to both of you? Chen suggested joint operation, shared mining rights, split the profits, work together. We are enemies. The Corlith representative said, we have fought for generations. Chen nodded slowly. Oh, my ancestors were the same. Let me tell you a story. He pulled up an old photograph. 2 men in military uniforms shaking hands. One wore an American flag. The other wore a Japanese flag. 1945, Chen began. These 2 nations had just finished a terrible watch K. Ruby kiss, ruby kiss, ruby kiss. Only Ruby Kiss has the luxurious texture. That is the luxure HFY CHS Nilasi CHS Ninesaqchs NiCSA Nileses NiZSE Waj/S YCE Niwes KS Niwes Es Go Y Ktap Wesa Red Li Go Y Cotton Ni Ka I Cup Se I Whippy Kai Se Kalal Sa Si Ka Uselets Itik like I Trees I Go West It's Willy Get War America dropped atomic bombs on Japanese cities. Hundreds of thousands died. The hatred was deep, real, justified. The delegates leaned forward, listening. Everyone thought they would be enemies forever. Chen continued. But 70 years later, they were the closest allies. Trading partners, friends, Japanese cars filled American streets. American technology filled Japanese homes. They chose to build instead of destroy. That is different, the Vraxian said. They were the same species. No, Chen replied. They were different cultures, different languages, different values. They had every reason to hate each other. But they chose something else. They chose to remember the pain, but not be controlled by it. He showed more images. Germans and French. Working together after centuries of war. Vietnamese and Americans cooperating decades after a brutal conflict. Humans who had killed each other learning to trust each other. We learned something important, Chen said quietly. Yesterday's enemy can be tomorrow's friend, but only if both sides are brave enough to try. The Vraxian and Corlith delegates looked at each other. Really looked, perhaps for the first time. Years of rivalry sat between them, but also possibility. We could try, the Corlith said slowly. A joint colony. 6 months as a test. Agreed, the Vergassian replied, just as slowly. But if you cheat, then we negotiate, Chen interrupted. Gently. We talk. We find solutions. That is what diplomacy means. Not just talking when things are easy, but especially when things are hard. After the session, Ambassador Krell approached Chen in the quiet hallway. You are changing the galaxy, young human. One dispute at a time. Chen shook his head. Not me. We all are. Humans just learned these lessons first. Now we share what we learned. Some species say you won, Krell said. That you conquered the council without firing more than a few shots. We did not win anything, Chen replied. There are no winners in the way you mean. We just helped everyone choose not to lose. They walked together toward the observation deck. Through the massive windows, stars stretched infinitely. Somewhere out there, human defense fleets patrolled. Silently. Watching. Protecting. But quiet. Captain Sarah Chen is my sister, James said suddenly. She commanded the fleet that stopped your attack. Krell looked surprised. She is military. You are diplomatic. Do you ever disagree about Earth's approach? Every day, James laughed. She thinks I am too soft. I think she is too cautious, but we both want the same thing. Peace that lasts. And if it does not last, Krell asked quietly. If someone attacks? Again, James's expression became serious. Then Sarah and the fleet will do their job. They will defend our people. They will respond with overwhelming force. They will win. You sound very certain. I am certain, James confirmed. Because that certainty is what makes peace possible. If we were weak, others would attack. If we were aggressive, others would fear us. But we are strong and patient. That combination makes people think twice. A young intern approached nervously. She was not human. Her species had joined the council only recently. Ambassador Chen. I am writing a research paper about Earth. May I ask you something? Of course, Chen smiled. Why did you stop attacking when the council surrendered? You could have taken control, made demands, but you just stopped. Chen knelt down to her level, remembering the lessons his grandparents taught him. Because we learn something important from our history. How you treat people after you win determines what kind of future you will have. Are you the kind of victor who creates more enemies? Or the kind who creates lasting friends? The intern thought about this carefully. What if they attack again anyway? Then we defend ourselves. Again, Chen said firmly. But we never stop hoping they will choose better. We never stop offering them that choice. Because hope costs nothing. And it is the foundation everything else is built on. The intern thanked him and hurried away to finish her paper. Krell watched her go. Do you really believe that? Hope is enough. Chen stood up and looked out at the stars. No, hope is not enough by itself. Hope plus strength. Hope plus preparation. Hope plus the willingness to defend what matters. That is enough. Far above the station, invisible to the delegates below, a human defense satellite made its silent patrol. Its weapons were powered down. Its shields were minimal. It looked like nothing dangerous, but if needed, in less than 3 seconds, it could become the most dangerous object in the system, because humans had learned the greatest lesson of all. The strongest warriors are those who never have to prove it. The most dangerous fighters are those who choose not to fight, and the most courteous species in the galaxy. They were the ones who no longer had to pretend.